Why do you think our Constitution has survived for so long? Is there some special sauce there?
I think our Constitution has survived for so long because of the way in which it was written. So call this, the miracle at Philadelphia or the genius of the founders. It is a combination of the specific and the general. Most of the Constitution is written in more general terms, and I guess maybe I'll say it this way. When I was teaching constitutional law, I used to ask my students, and I sometimes do still when I teach a seminar, which I occasionally do, I ask them to read the Constitution of Ecuador. And I picked that one because I once went to Ecuador and spoke to people at the Ecuador Supreme Court. And I was struck then by how thick it is. It's very thick and it is very detailed. Contrast that with ours, which can be put in your pocket. The framers had the wisdom to not try to put too much in the immovable document, the one that would be harder to amend. Most of it left to the nimble legislative process. So for states to work out, for Congress to work out, if we tried to have environmental regulations, for example, or a lot of details about the tax code in our Constitution, it would get out of date very quickly. But because of the way it allocated power and because it delegated so much to the legislative process and the political process at both the federal and state level, we allowed that change to happen and evolve through our legislatures. And I think the Constitution itself balanced well our fundamental commitments that we don't change without much more work, commitments that are expressed in the Bill of Rights, and the commitments that are structural, and say Articles 1, 2, and 3 of the Constitution. And I think that blend, you need to be specific about some things, how legislation gets passed, because you can't be reinventing the wheel when you figure out how many votes it takes in Congress to override a presidential veto. So we have those kinds of things being very specific. But for all the policy-making decisions, largely that's left to the legislative process.